Today on the show, we're going to be diving into two spectacular free vehicles that not only will save you a hefty sum of money, but they'll also significantly impact the way that you get to enjoy and experience GTA Online in a very positive way. And so first, we have the Invetero Coquette Classic, which is a stylish classic sports car that's known for its exhilarating top speed and challenging handling, but with that same coin, it's going to appeal to the skilled drivers in this game who just want a nice fun car to master. And then following that, we introduced the Ubermacht Rhinehart, which is another robust vehicle. It's got impressive grip, good controllability, and I think it's going to be more ideal for those players out there who value a little bit of precision and durability in their cars. And so securing either of these vehicles for $0 this week, considering their pretty substantial market values, I think this is a good opportunity that you need to jump on this week while it lasts. While they may not be top performers in their respective classes, their high costs do make them valuable additions to any player's collection. And so join me, we're going to explore the customization as well as the performance potentials of these cars. I'll be taking them to the track, and we're going to see if they can truly live up to their potential, but I think you will greatly enjoy it. So let's jump into the gameplay and see what these cars have to offer. So jumping in, that Diamond Casino podium vehicle for this week is the Invetero Coquette Classic, and of course this car is normally available on Legendary Motorsport for $665,000, and it released as part of the San Andreas Flight School update. Now interestingly enough, if you have the Criminal Enterprise Starter Pack, I believe, you can actually get this one for free, and so you don't need to actually spin the lucky wheel and win it. So either way, whether you win it at the Diamond Casino and Resort, or of course you just claim it off the in-game website for free, it is going to be $0 for you. And this car is a classic rendition of the modern Coquette in the game, where you get impressive top speed, acceleration, but despite its prowess on the straightaways like I was talking about, I think this car does present a challenge in the handling department because you get a little bit of understeer, and also at the same time a tendency for the rear to slide out during moderate to high speed cornering. Understeer at low speeds, oversteer at high speeds, but if you're a more skilled driver like I was talking about, you can definitely harness these little traits to execute some really dramatic drifts and turns. This vehicle is also pretty durable. You get those steel body panels and just overall high quality construction, so you get excellent crash deformation resistance. And funny enough, I actually think it's one of the most durable vehicles within the sports classics category. Also a little fun fact in terms of sound, if you're an OG player, you'll also recall this. The Coquette Classic in the original versions of GTA 5, they mimic the engine notes of the JB700, but in the enhanced versions of the game, you actually share the acoustic qualities with vehicles like the Dominator as well as the Ruiner. So with that out of the way, let's hit the track and see how this car performs. Here is my Invetero Coquette Classic, ladies and gentlemen. We are rocking a race yellow metallic along with the black pearlescent, black racing stripes on here, dual racing stripes, that is, black revolver muscle category rims and wheels here. Chrome secondary, maybe that's a little bit much, but I feel like it kind of complements the chrome exhaust tips, the wheels, things like that. Now, this car is awesome because with the roof options at the customization, when you actually customize it, you can keep the roof on or turn it into a convertible like I have here. But let's head on over to the track and see how this thing performs. All right, so we are at my course, and for those of you guys who are new to the channel and wondering what we do, we head up north here, then we head east, south, east, wrap around here, take this road, go up north, just wrap around all the way to this same intersection that I'm at right here. And so I'm going to set my timer and we're going to get going. There will also be some time codes on screen. 3, 2, 1, let's start. And right away, no wheel spin, which is perfect. That's something that we want to see with this car. But just driving over here, I could tell you that the tail end was just a little bit loose, and the braking, let me tell you, it is not good in the slightest. Just like in practice while driving, I was very, very not pleased with the brakes. I feel like, well, actually that kind of gripped us up right there, but you could see as well, like this car, I mean, you know, it's an old style Corvette. It's a first generation Corvette, right? This is not first generation, sorry, but it's a retro old school Corvette. A little bit newer than the first one, but either way, like, it is just very old school. And so it's not going to handle like a modern supercar. It's not going to handle like a modern sports car or anything like that. So you just got to be careful with that tail end, things like that. And I need to let off the throttle when taking these turns. And I would say when you're driving this thing, that's something you absolutely want to make sure you do as well, because just the slightest little like uphill incline, if it levels out, or say, God forbid, you got to go back downhill, you're absolutely going to lose control with this thing because there's not enough weight planted on the wheels to keep this car to have the proper amount of traction, and you'll just start slipping and sliding. And it ain't it ain't pretty to watch this car crash because it's such a beautiful car. You don't want to crash, and I'm about to almost do it right there. That was actually pretty close, but thankfully the truck wasn't going too fast. This part of the track always gives me the most trouble with no matter what car I'm driving, and so I'm very, very curious to see that same thing is going to happen driving this. And I can tell right away, I mean, I'm almost playing very passive with this car. I'm driving sort of passively. I'm trying to keep a good time. That's the first little bump and crash we had right there. I'm trying to keep a good time, but it's kind of hard to do so. So now we're approaching basically the halfway point. 1 minute and 54 seconds, or a little bit over the halfway point, but 1 minute 54 seconds on the clock at that point when I mentioned it. I'd love to see if we can beat maybe 3 minutes. I'm not sure this maybe... No, I think we'll just get below 3 minutes perhaps. It's gonna be close. Because like taking that, we had to take that really slowly. There's a little bit of wheel spin. You just feel like the tail end is going to kick out on you basically all the time when you're driving this car, unless you just have the proper traction. You either have the proper traction with this vehicle and you can make a good time, or you don't. And it almost handles like any other Coquette in this game, like the normal C7 Coquette that we have based off the C7 Corvette, one of those other OG sports cars. These two handle very similar. It feels like you're driving almost like an underpowered Dominator in a sense, like the OG Dominator. Do you guys know how fishtaily those are? They're very swing happy. And I'd love to see if we can beat 3 minutes. We're like just gonna miss the 3 minute mark, especially when we crash. Oh no. But we're gonna make good time nonetheless. This is a 3 minute and 3 second car with me bumping into the rails. It probably didn't take much time off. I needed to carry my speed at the end right there. And that probably would have been just about a 3 minute car, especially if I was more used to driving this thing. I think this would be a sub 3 minute car on this course. But very beautiful customization options. It looks great with the top on or off. And of course, like I was mentioning in the commentary, definitely go to the in-game website, see if you have the Criminal Enterprise Starter Pack anyway, because you can actually probably just get it for free in that case. Otherwise, it's going to run you a couple $100 grand, but it's nothing too crazy. Anyway, on to the next car. All right, now moving on, this week's LS Car Meet prize ride is that Ubermacht Rhinehart, which is priced with a retail value of $1,598,000 from Southern San Andreas Super Autos, and it released as part of the Criminal Enterprises DLC update around Halloween in 2022. The Rhinehart boasts commendable acceleration and really good top speed. It's capable of handling turns really smoothly without really a risk of spinning out. It's planted to the ground. Despite all those advantages though, this Rhinehart can bottom out on bumpy roads or when driving over curbs, and even with it being all-wheel drive and you get that substantial grip, honestly even rivaling some supercars in terms of handling, I would say that the Rhinehart remains a little bit more manageable in tighter turns. I guess you notice like a little bit of understeer, and also I'd say the biggest con and the negative of this car is that the Rhinehart is very prone to flinging out into the air and rolling over, especially when you crash. And so it's just one of those cars that you just need to come to terms with that and expect that it's going to happen if you crash into another vehicle. It's not the worst thing in the world, but if you absolutely hate that trait where some vehicles, you know, they just seem to unnecessarily spin out, flip over, things like that, or, you know, they just have a tendency to do it anyway, then maybe proceed with caution with this car. And now here is my Ubermacht Rhinehart, ladies and gentlemen. I recustomized it. I used to have it in like a red. I wanted to go for like a darker blue, black rims, maybe put on that cool Mindmock sun strips just to fit the theme. This is a big wagon. It's got a longer wheelbase than any other Ubermacht vehicle in the game. Picture this thing to accelerate hard, but it is a station wagon at the end of the day, and so, you know, it's not going to handle like the most optimal, perfectly balanced 50-50 weight ratio, you know, E92 M3 or something like that around a corner. This is a sports wagon, so expect it to handle like a wagon at the end of the day. But with that being said, let's take it to the track and actually see how we can do around those twisty turns. All right, so we're at the track. Same thing here. Gonna take off 3, 2, 1, and I will start. The timer will be going. Once again, no wheel spin. I think this is the first weekly update free vehicles guide I've ever done where we've had no wheel spin off the line with either cars, and honestly I messed up right there at the beginning. I realistically should restart, but that's only going to take what, like a quarter of a second off the time at absolute most. I'll make up for it a little bit there by doing that little shortcut. But as you can see, just off the line it's very quick, but it's a wagon, so look at the wide turning radius, pay attention to that and see if that's something you like, because when I take this turn right here, this is my left analog stick moved all the way to the right. And actually, it hugs that apex really well. You can see my wheels and tires were in the dirt right there. But I'd say there's like a fine line between having like the perfect cornering capability with this car, just off of like first impressions after driving it, or not driving it, I should say, in like months. You either are going the right speed to take a corner basically perfectly, and the car is going to feel just flawless, right? You know, there's just some cars in the game that feel like that. And then if you're going just slightly too fast, it doesn't matter if you're going slightly over the speed you should be going or way too fast, it's going to really struggle. And you notice the deficiencies and like the negative aspects of the traction or the handling of this car. This car has very good traction. You're not really going to spin out or anything like that. It's just not super nimble, but like you shouldn't expect it to be, right? Sort of like I was talking about right when we took this car out of the customization garage, just because it's a wagon at the end of the day, right? It's not supposed to be, you know, some super lightweight carbon fiber Koenigsegg. It's not supposed to be a perfectly balanced sports car like an E92 M3 or something like that. This is, you know, meant for high speed on the Autobahn, right? And just like foot to the floor racing RS7 wagons. Oh, that's really not good. That is definitely going to ruin some time here. That's almost like, what, 3-4 full seconds? We shattered our rear windshield, which is awful. Did I say RS7s before? I think I meant to say RS4s. This isn't really comparable to an RS7. This would be more like an RS4 wagon for an Audi. But either way, 2 minutes, 13 seconds on the timer now. Didn't have the best run with this car, but I don't, you know, I've never actually restarted any of these, but I never would unless like I mess up so poorly from the very beginning, so badly, right? If you crash at some point throughout this course, I want to show you guys my raw experience with this car. You know, speech problems with my commentary and performance and driving issues in the game and all of that's going into the video. I don't want to make any cuts and things like that. So if there is ever like an awkward silence or something like that, you know what? It is what it is for this type of guide, because I want to show you start to finish the run we have. And more or less with a lot of these cars, the first impressions, because I don't really drive all these that much anyway, while I do own them, of course. 3 minutes flat, 2 minutes 59 seconds, just about actually crossing that intersection right at the start. So 2:59, 3 minutes, whatever you want to call it. But definitely a sub 3 minute car if we take off the extra few seconds we burned from those crashes right there. And I think this thing is pretty awesome. The customization options are amazing. You could see with max armor upgrades, there's really no like body issues besides paint scratches, shattered glass and windows and things like that. The hood and trunk, or sorry, not the hood, Jesus. The trunk door, the latch, is, as you can see, sort of disconnected, detached, very slightly, but we did take a hard hit to the rear of this car, so sort of expected. But I love like the fogged out taillights, they look really good. The headlights look nice and mean and menacing. It's almost basically got a copy and pasted front end of the Ubermacht Cypher, but of course, then you look at the side and it's obviously a wagon. This is a super fun car to drive. Probably not more of a preference for me to drive than compared to like the Cypher or the original Sentinel or Sentinel XS, excuse me, or maybe even the Rebel GTS, but I really do love this car, and I think it is worth unlocking this week if you can get it. But yes, with all that out of the way and us reviewing those two cars, we are going to wrap things up for this video right here. So thank you guys so much for watching. Hopefully you guys have a fantastic rest of your day. Face cams on these videos and the money guides in the future, of course, will return next week. I have a lot going on this weekend. It was really busy for F1 weekend last weekend. I haven't been streaming much, and then of course this weekend I have more company over. So there's just a lot going on at the end of October for me, and just to kind of let you guys in for full transparency and on a more personal note here, I just got to keep things moving. I don't want to set up the studio lights and all that. I feel like, you know, we're here to see the performance of the cars anyway. The face cam is just to make it a little bit more entertaining and give you some more value, but the real value lies in the performance of these vehicles, right? So nonetheless, thank you so much for watching. Have a fantastic day. Subscribe to the channel if you guys are new. Drop a like if you guys enjoyed. Check me out over on Twitch, Twitter, and Instagram if you're interested for more GTA and Red Dead Online live streams. And I'll see you guys in the next one. Adios, amigos.